What's going on, guys? So I'm leaving AutoNation GMC Cadillac here in Corpus. Got my first oil change done, complimentary. I'm sure it's just baked into the price. Got 7,177 miles on the truck so far. It's honestly, it's been doing really good. Putting in, I think, a fair amount of miles on it too. But so far, the truck's been doing really well. Fuel economy's definitely been variable. What I mean by that, it's kind of all over the place. We've been able to get really good fuel economy at times, but then at other times, it's not quite as good as we would like. Gotta remember how to get to all my screens here. Let's see here. There we go. So they reset everything. But right now, average on the truck is 23.3 miles per gallon. Average on the tank, 21.5. Definitely can do better than that. It just really depends how you drive it and the wind. Anyways, guys, back on the road with this thing. Glad to have the oil changed. And again, I can't really tell you how much it costs. I think they said it would be $150 normally, but the first one was free, so of course we took advantage of that. Okay, so we're back at the property. Got the Denali. Wanted to give you guys kind of an update on overall impressions of owning this truck. I'm going to be honest with you, the fact that it does not have the 12-volt cigarette lighter style adapters in here has constantly been a bit of a sore spot for me because I actually have stuff that needs those and I can't use them. So really frustrating that it's not there. I know I could probably install one in the truck. Most of the time you need to run it to the battery because you want to be able to fuse it separately and you want to make sure that you don't overload anything in there. But I don't feel like I should have to install one. It's just me, maybe. I know a lot of you folks out there who probably have this truck in a 2023 model and no longer have 12-volt style, that cigarette style plug adapter in your truck anymore. You probably have gotten over it. I don't know. I personally am having an issue with it. And I know that even some of the newer trucks, I believe 2024, the GMC and Chevy heavy-duty trucks are also going to be lacking that plug or any of those plugs. Man, if they just gave me one of them, I would be happy, but it has none. I do have the 110 outlet in the bed, and I also have the 110 outlet in the truck. I wish there were two 110 outlets in the truck, one up front and one on the back of the center console, and then the one in the bed. I really don't even need the one in the bed, to be honest with you. I'd just prefer to have those two, but there's only one in the truck. That's all it comes optioned with, and I have a little power strip plugged into it because I need more power connections than what that permits me. And again, I really don't want to have to wire into the truck to add other things. That said, the truck's actually been a really pleasant truck. The seats for me haven't gotten much better. I kind of gave up on the little back support little things. I had the beads, I had the memory foam, and I had that other pad. They all had issues to me. None of them really enhanced the comfort of the seat. And I kind of gave up on that little test because after like a week driving with them and trying to switch them out, both the memory foam and the inflatable one made you sit way too far up front and made it difficult for your head to ever touch the headrest. And it made it feel like the bottom of the seat was way too short. So I ditched those. And then the beads were cool, but they kind of felt like they'd scratch your back occasionally, and my wife's hair would get caught in it. So definitely not something I felt would pass the muster of actually being a product that we would use and I would endorse. So we went ahead and kind of passed up on that testing. The seats themselves to me are still too firm. I've gotten more used to them, but I also feel that they're relatively uncomfortable. The truck itself is insanely comfortable in terms of how smooth it rides, how it handles bumps. When we go on long trips, it's a really comfortable truck, but the seats to me are just way too firm. I wish they would have a different type of seat. And I know you can go to like a Denali Ultimate and get the massaging seats, but I don't feel that a lot of people are going to jump up to that truck just so they can have the massaging seats. That might just be me. Leave a comment below what your thoughts are. I totally don't miss not having the deployable running boards. I've tested them on several trucks, including a Yukon Denali as well as the Denali Ultimate that I reviewed, where they come out because they really don't lower down. They just simply come out. And You know, when it comes to being a practical application, when they tuck away, they look nicer. I will admit, whenever they tuck under, they look a little cleaner. You can still see the little edge of it right there, even when they're tucked in. But I kind of prefer these because it's so quick. When you walk up to a truck that has deployable running boards, even like my Ford and my wife's Expedition, you have to wait for them to deploy, and sometimes they don't deploy as fast as you'd like them to. Whereas with these, they're just always available. I love how the step extends to the back. I've used that several times. The Multi-Pro tailgate has actually been a really cool thing for me. I don't use it for really any of the other features except one recently. Let me show you what's going on there. So for me, the main feature I like to use is this intergate lowering. That's great. And I do use the step. So I do have the step down, and I use that whenever I'm hopping in and out of the bed of the truck and doing things. But for the most part, I enjoy having the ability to be right here. I had to refill all my fuel cans recently, and I had them all spread out through this container. Then I had one over here. And if you saw the video on this container, this thing was like 40 bucks, I think, when I got it and featured it, maybe 60, something like that. Now it's like well over $100. It's crazy how inflation has impacted everything. Anyways, yeah, I had my fuel right here, and I simply opened this up like one click, like to there, and I filled up all my fuel containers inside of the back here. I'm right up against it, and it was so convenient. If I didn't have a tailgate that dropped down like that, I'd be standing back here. I'd have to pull all the fuel containers out or hop in the bed to actually do it. But it was so nice just to do it like this. It made the process just a little bit more convenient, a little nicer, and a little less messy for me. But that's worked out well for me. I'm trying to think of what else. I have used this recently one other time with the load stop feature. So basically, the load stop feature for me was, let's see how I did this. Like this, and then with that up, because we got a new TV and the box was huge and it wouldn't fit completely in. So whenever we strapped it down, the TV went to like right about here. And it's not as if it made contact with this, but it gave me a little bit of peace of mind just to know that if for some reason my strap came loose and the thing wanted to slide back, it would at least hit this, and this would prevent it from coming off of the back of the truck. Again, it didn't actually come into practice, but just the peace of mind that I got knowing that this was here made me feel a little bit better. This accessory I got, this crazy bed armor mat, is super cool. Super puncture resistant, and I felt pretty good using it because it protects the bed, but more importantly, it adds cushioning to whatever you have in here. The bed cover is really nice. This thing's been working really well. Drops of water somehow still manage to make it inside of the bed after a rainstorm, or even sometimes in the morning with condensation and dew building up on it. I'll look in the bed and there's a couple drops of water. Whenever I go through a car wash, water still manages to get through any little opening on the edge, and then you'll see like water spray coming down in this area on the corners. But I don't think there's much of a way around that unless you get like a true bed cap or a bed cover that's just one solid piece that somehow seals all the way around. I even added this weather stripping right here around the sides to help channel some of the water away, and it has helped tremendously versus what it was like before I added that. Before I added that, water, it was like sprayed in this way on each side, and anything in the back kind of got a little wet. But with this, you just see a little bit of water buildup right here in the corners on each side. Again, haven't used the Multi-Pro tailgate for a workbench yet. That's basically when you just drop this upper portion when the tailgate's closed. It's been a good tailgate. It's a little heavy, it's a little clunky, and whenever you have to put the tailgate up and you have the center part down, it's this weird kind of unnatural feeling process to close the tailgate. And I'm sure those of you with Multi-Pro or Multi-Flex tailgates have probably experienced that yourself. I don't really use the handle. I think I've used it one time, but I can't even remember the scenario in which I used it. We loaded the bed of the truck up with a lot of soil recently, like 25 bags. It didn't really bother the truck too much. The truck sagged just about as much as when I was hauling the trailer, so about 1.5 inches. But overall, it's been a great utility vehicle for me. It gives me a lot of capability with a lot of bed space, especially when I'm handling dirty stuff. And, you know, we don't have to get the back of my wife's Expedition dirty, and it's a heck of a lot more space than we had in the Explorer or even the Fusion. As far as other kind of standouts that I like about the truck, the corner steps right here have come in really handy whenever I need to reach into the back. Again, that step right there comes in really handy whenever I need to reach into the bed of the truck further this way. The little rubber bushings I put right here are working perfectly still. no problems at all. It's funny because I just took the truck in and it just had the first oil change done, right? And when I was talking to the service manager over at the GMC dealership, I was telling him about the popping noises coming from the suspension, and he's like, yeah, we get this complaint all the time, and sometimes we have to like really dig deep, and they want us to drive the vehicle around, and they want us to do all these different things. When we know where it's coming from, we even know what the fix is, but they still require us to do this, and it frustrates a lot of customers because they can't reproduce the sound whenever we're driving the truck around. So we know it happens, but unless we can reproduce it, GM won't approve us to get the part. I'm trying to think in my head, just say you heard it, because it obviously is something that's bothering an owner, and if they're going to bring the vehicle in for it, and you know that these trucks are prone to do that, just put the bushing back there, because I know they're doing all sorts of crazy things to try to remedy it. Like they'll swap out leaf springs, they'll swap out axles, they'll do some really crazy stuff to try to fix that problem, when all you got to do is throw a couple quarter-inch pieces of rubber in. I think GM just really needs to do that on this truck from the factory if they're unable to get rid of that noise with their current leaf spring configuration. And then finally, the hood height is still kind of weird to me, because I hop into my 450, I hop in my wife's vehicle, and I can really see well over the hood. And the hood just sticks up so high on this truck. Again, this is another scenario where even the folks at the GMC dealership told me that, one of the guys there drives an F-150, and he said, yeah, I hop into the GMCs, and I think I pull right up to a building, and I get out, I'm like 8 feet away from it. And that perspective over the hood is just kind of deceiving. It just creates this strange perception that you're really close to things when you're not. And the headlights on this perform really good at night. They have a really kind of, almost great looking cutoff line. I feel they could have dialed it in a little bit better, maybe used the same projector they use in the Escalade. I can't imagine that being a significantly more expensive projector than the dual projector system they have here, but it doesn't seem as if it would take much to really make the cutoff line and that light projection super crisp and visible. But that's something that you typically are challenged with most vehicles. They have a cool looking projector, but ultimately a bit lackluster whenever you get them out on the road at night. And I'm trying to think of any final notes. Driving the truck's great. The 3-liter LZO diesel has been great. I have had no issues with it at all. No weird shifting, no weird hesitations. The truck drives and accelerates perfectly. I don't need it to be a sports car, but it still feels significantly more peppy than even my F450, which I've always thought felt really peppy given the fact it has a diesel. So again, getting kind of marginal fuel economy numbers. It's actually more in line with what the window sticker said, like 22 to 24 miles per gallon. I can get this thing to give me 25, 26 miles per gallon if I'm really careful, even in city driving. On the highway, it's pretty easy to get upwards of 27, 28 miles per gallon. But now that I've driven the truck over 7,000 miles, I'm starting to realize that I do have to pay more attention if I really want to get better fuel economy out of this thing. All the safety features are cool. The parking sensors, all that stuff works really good. The GMC infotainment system, which consists of Google, is okay, but I'll tell you that the thing is triggered all the time where you say, hey, Google, and then it gets triggered to want to fill in a request or something. And it's just really annoying sometimes when the system just kicks in automatically and you're just not even saying anything. You don't even say the word to trigger it. It just triggers, and you're driving down the road and you're trying to get it to stop, and it won't stop until you give it a command to stop. So just kind of one of those things that is still, I think, in its evolutionary stage of being practical in vehicles. It's super cool to have. I love having it. I just wish it didn't have instant voice recognition like that. I wish you had to push a button on the steering wheel and then you could say your command. I think that would be a little bit better. Overall, though, like the truck, is it something I would recommend somebody else get? Yeah, it's a really nice half-ton truck. If you're looking for a half-ton truck with, marginal towing capabilities, marginal payload capabilities, something that you're going to run to Lowe's with, something you're going to run to Home Depot with, you might pull a small utility trailer with it. Maybe you have a lawn business and you want to be able to carry that stuff around. If you manage your load properly, you manage what type of trailer you have, what type of payload you put inside of the vehicle, this is a really nice truck to own, and it's got a super smooth ride. I wish the seats were significantly more comfortable than they are. I know I've been bringing that up since day one, but what would a longer term evaluation be if I can't tell you, specifically the things that bother me? And the main thing that bothers me about this truck are the seats. They're just not comfortable to me. And I've talked to a lot of folks who agree, and I've talked to some folks who don't agree. Some folks say it's perfectly fine, but typically the folks who say it's perfectly fine are folks who have only owned GM or Chevy trucks, and they haven't tried any of the others. Me, I've sat in every single truck, and I've reviewed every single one of them. Aside from that, I'd give the truck like an 8.5 out of 10. I really like it. I really like it. I love the way it looks. This thing gets so many compliments, so many folks staring at it saying, man, that's a gorgeous truck. I agree. I think the only thing now I kind of wish I had done is gone with the black wheels. But I didn't really have much of a choice because this was really the only truck available with the diesel engine at the time. And I got the truck that I kind of wanted, actually more truck than I wanted. But I kind of had to take it the way it came, which isn't a bad thing because it's a dang beautiful truck. But if I could go back and I could order it and I was willing to wait for it and all that, I probably would have opted to get the black wheels with it because I think they blend in a little better to this black package. Or better yet, I probably would have gotten the truck in white because I kind of prefer this Denali package in a white paint job. Anyways, leave a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you have a truck like this, what do you think? Or am I kind of, spot on with what you're thinking? Or do you have, some disagreements with how I, describe this truck? And if so, leave a comment below. I'd love to know. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.